What if everything you know about power is completely wrong? You've probably heard that being kind, honest, and humble is the way to succeed. But what if the world doesn't really work that way? What if the people at the top, politicians, CEOs, even your boss, are playing a different game? The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene is not your typical self-help book. It's bold, it's blunt, and yes, it's controversial. Some say it's manipulative. Others say it tells the truth nobody wants to admit. But this isn't a guide to becoming evil. It's a survival manual. In a world where people lie, cheat, and fight for control, this book shows you how to protect yourself and how to win without getting played. The author, Robert Greene, is a strategist who studied centuries of power moves from ancient empires to modern boardrooms. His message: power is always in play, whether you like it or not. Power is everywhere, even if no one talks about it. It's in the workplace, at family dinners, in friendships, on social media. It's hiding in plain sight. Most people pretend it doesn't exist. They say, "I don't play games," or "I'm just being honest." But the truth is, we all deal with power whether we choose to or not. That's what makes the 48 Laws of Power so important and so uncomfortable. It forces you to stop pretending. It shows you how the world really works, not how we wish it worked. Robert Greene doesn't sugarcoat anything. He looks at power for what it is, a game that's always being played. And those who refuse to play, they usually lose. Think about this. Have you ever trusted someone too much and got burned? Have you ever worked hard and still got overlooked? That's not just bad luck. That's power dynamics. And if you don't learn how to read them, you're walking blind through a battlefield. Greene's goal isn't to turn you into some master manipulator. It's to open your eyes, to teach you how people use power, how they gain it, how they hold on to it, and how you can protect yourself from those who use it against you. Whether you're trying to move up at work, improve your relationships, or just stop getting taken advantage of, this book gives you tools. He breaks everything down into 48 clear, direct laws. Not rules, not suggestions. Laws. That means they don't change. They've worked in ancient Rome. They've worked in feudal Japan. They still work today. Each law is backed by real stories, some from kings and queens, others from con artists, generals, even scientists. And every one of those stories shows a pattern. The same moves, the same mistakes, the same wins and losses, again and again. These laws aren't meant to be followed blindly. They're not one size fits all. Greene doesn't tell you to use all of them all the time. Instead, he wants you to understand the patterns so you can spot them in the real world. Sometimes you'll use a law to protect yourself. Other times, you'll recognize when someone else is using one against you. One law might tell you to stay silent when others are fighting for attention. Another might say to stand out at all costs. It all depends on the moment and the people around you. Power isn't about being loud. It's about being smart. At its core, this book isn't just about winning. It's about awareness. It's about being strategic in a world that rewards those who think ahead and punishes those who don't. It shows you that the same tactics used by emperors and leaders centuries ago are still being used today, just in different clothes. You don't have to be ruthless. You don't have to hurt people. But you do need to understand how power works if you want to move through life without getting crushed. That's what Greene offers, a clear view of the game and the strategies you need to survive it. So as we dive into the most powerful and practical laws in this book, remember, it's not about being fake. It's not about being someone you're not. It's about being aware, being sharp, and using that awareness to make better moves for yourself and for the people you care about. Let's talk about the laws that define how power really works. These 5 aren't just useful, they're the foundation of every move in the game. They show up in business, politics, school, even family. And once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them. Law 1. Never outshine the master. This one is simple but deadly. Don't make the person above you feel small, no matter how talented you are. Sounds unfair? Maybe. But it's real. Take Nicolas Fouquet, for example. He was King Louis XIV's finance minister, smart, rich, charming. He threw the most incredible party the king had ever seen. Fireworks, music, luxury everywhere. Fouquet thought he was impressing the king. Instead, he made Louis feel insecure and upstaged. A few days later, Fouquet was arrested. He spent the rest of his life in prison, The lesson? Make the people in charge feel important, even if you're the one doing the heavy lifting. Don't outshine them. Let them shine, and you'll go further. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. If people know what you're planning, they'll either try to stop you or beat you to it. But if they're confused or distracted, they can't prepare. It's like playing poker with your cards face up. You lose the element of surprise. That's why smart people keep things close. Say one thing, do another. Let people think they know what you're doing, but always stay a step ahead. This isn't about being shady. It's about being careful. The less people know, the safer your plans are. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. This world moves fast, and people forget just as quickly. If no one notices you, you don't exist. Not in business, not in social circles, nowhere. Standing out doesn't mean being loud or obnoxious. It means being memorable. Dress a little different. Say something unexpected. Be bold in your ideas. Power flows toward people who stay on the radar. Look at celebrities, influencers, or even politicians. The ones who stay relevant know how to draw attention on purpose. Silence is invisibility, and invisibility is death in the game of power. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Sounds harsh, right? But history shows this again and again. Half measures create future problems. If you leave your opponent a way to recover, they will come back stronger. And usually with a grudge. When you have to take action, don't hesitate. Don't leave loose ends. Handle the problem completely, so it doesn't grow into something worse. Power doesn't reward kindness if it makes you weak. You can be fair. You can be thoughtful. But if it's time to strike, don't stop halfway. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a soft spot. A fear, a desire, a secret. Something they care about deeply. If you can figure out what it is, you have an edge. Maybe it's ego. Maybe it's approval. Maybe it's the need to feel safe or respected. The point is, understanding what drives people gives you influence. And you don't have to use it in a bad way. You can use it to negotiate, lead, or protect yourself from being played. This law is about observation. Listen more. Watch how people react. The person who knows what makes others tick holds the power. These 5 laws are the backbone of how power moves in real life. They're not just rules, they're warnings and strategies. Learn them, and you'll stop wondering why things happen. You'll start seeing the patterns, and how to move within them. Some of the laws in this book make people uncomfortable. They sound cold, even manipulative, but that's only if you take them at face value or use them without thinking. The truth is, most of these laws aren't evil. They're tools, and like any tool, it all depends on how you use them. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. This law rubs a lot of people the wrong way. It sounds like it's telling you to throw your friends under the bus. But it's not. It's warning you not to assume loyalty just because someone is close to you. Michael III, the young emperor of Byzantium, trusted his best friend Basilius completely. He gave him power, money, even his own mistress. In the end, Basilius turned on him and had him killed. Why? Because friends can become entitled. And when power's involved, emotions cloud judgment. Enemies, on the other hand, have something to prove. They can become loyal allies if handled right, because they're working to earn your trust. This law isn't about cutting people off. It's about being aware. Loyalty is earned, not assumed. Don't let feelings make you blind. Law 7. Get others to do the work, but always take the credit. Now this one sounds selfish. But think about it. Leaders in every field rely on teams. CEOs, presidents, directors, they don't do everything themselves. But they know how to direct the spotlight. The idea here isn't to steal. It's to build a system where people support your vision and you own the outcome. Share credit privately, sure. But in public, you need to look like the one steering the ship. People respect results, not effort. If you're always the invisible helper, no one knows what you bring to the table. Again, this law is about perception. It's not telling you to be a thief. It's showing you how successful people maintain power by staying visible while others work behind the scenes. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm. Being honest isn't the problem. Being predictable is. People are naturally suspicious, especially when power is involved. That's why a well-timed act of honesty or generosity can throw them off and win trust fast. If you're always giving, people expect it and take advantage. But if you choose your moment, a small confession here, a generous offer there, it hits harder. It lowers their guard. They stop seeing you as a threat. This law isn't about lying all the time. It's about timing. A true act of kindness, when unexpected, can open more doors than 100 polite words. Law 27, create a cult-like following. The word cult scares people. But Greene's not saying you should brainwash anyone. He's saying people want something to believe in. If you can give them that, you become more than a person. You become a symbol. Leaders who inspire movements understand this. They speak in vision, not detail. They give people identity and purpose. Whether it's a brand, a mission, or a belief, people rally around someone who makes them feel part of something bigger. The danger isn't in the law, it's in the intent. If you lead with care, you create community. If you lead with ego, you build a trap. The law works either way. You decide how it's used. Law 45, preach change, but reform slowly. People say they want change, but too much, too fast, and they panic. Greene knew that. This law is about pacing. Ease people into new ideas. Respect what's familiar to them, even if it needs to go. Want to lead change? Start by speaking their language. Connect the new with the old. Make them feel safe, not forced. Because when people feel pushed, they push back. These laws can sound harsh, but they're not heartless. They're honest. They don't ask you to be fake, they ask you to be smart. If you use them with awareness, you don't become the villain. You become the one who sees clearly while everyone else plays blind. Let's bring these laws to life with real stories. History is full of people who understood power, not just in theory but in action. They weren't perfect. Some rose fast. Some fell even faster. But every one of them left lessons worth paying attention to. Galileo, the scientist who played the game. Galileo was a genius. No doubt about that. He made huge discoveries, Jupiter's moons, the telescope, and more. But being smart wasn't enough. In his time, scientists didn't make money from their work. They needed rich families to back them. So Galileo did something clever. Instead of just publishing his findings, he dedicated them to the powerful Medici family. When he discovered Jupiter's moons, he said they weren't just any moons, they were symbolic. 4 moons, just like the 4 Medici brothers. He even designed a custom crest showing Jupiter with those moons, linking the Medici name to the heavens. It wasn't about flattery, it was strategy. He turned science into a gift. And it worked. Cosimo, too, made him the official court philosopher, gave him money, and backed his work. Galileo used Law 1, never outshine the master, and Law 6, court attention at all costs. He made the powerful look even more powerful, and they rewarded him. Emperor Sung, converting enemies into allies. China, 10th century. Emperor Sung wasn't born into royalty. He took the throne during a chaotic time when military generals kept overthrowing one another. Everyone expected him to do the same. Kill off rivals, silence threats, rule through fear. But he didn't. Instead, he threw a banquet. He invited the top generals, got them drunk, and gave a speech. I don't want to live in fear. Let's make a deal. Step down from the army, and I'll give you land, money, and a peaceful life. The generals agreed. They retired with wealth, and Sung ruled without needing to kill anyone. Then he did something even bolder. When a rebel king finally surrendered, Sung didn't jail him. He welcomed him to court, and even drank from the same glass as a sign of peace. That man became one of his most loyal supporters. Sung used Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies in Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm. He didn't rely on old friends. He turned threats into allies. And by doing that, he ended a cycle of violence and brought stability to China for over 300 years. Napoleon, master of timing and image. Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't born into power either. He was a young, relatively unknown officer, but he understood something others didn't, how to be seen. When his army won battles, he didn't just fight. He made sure the story got out. Letters, newspapers, even paintings. He made his name bigger than life. But what really made him dangerous was his sense of timing. After winning major campaigns in Italy and Egypt, he returned to France not as a soldier, but as a hero. The country was in chaos. He waited, watched, And when the moment was right, he struck. With almost no resistance, he took control and became first consul, then emperor. Napoleon lived by Law 6, court attention at all costs, and Law 35, master the art of timing. He knew when to act and when to wait. He used victory, image, and silence to build a legend. And for a time it worked, until he pushed too far, invading Russia, overextending his reach, and breaking Law 47, know when to stop. Each of these stories shows that power isn't just about force. It's about knowing people, knowing the moment, knowing what to say and what not to say. Whether it's a scientist, a ruler, or a general, the people who rise are the ones who study the game and play it with precision. You might be thinking, okay, this stuff worked for kings and war generals, but what about today? Truth is, power hasn't gone anywhere. It's just dressed differently now. In modern life, whether you're in an office, online, or at home, these laws still show up. The trick is using them with purpose, not harm. In the workplace, power is everywhere. Meetings, promotions, who gets credit, it's all part of the game. You might be the hardest worker on the team, but if you constantly outshine your boss or speak too bluntly in front of the wrong people, you could block your own path. That's Law 1 in action. Sometimes, playing it smart means letting others take the spotlight while you move up quietly. Law 3, conceal your intentions, is especially useful in office politics. Maybe you have a great idea. Don't spill it too soon. Build support, gauge who's watching, and time your pitch. If people see the whole picture before you're ready, they might steal it, shut it down, or twist it. It's not about hiding who you are, it's about protecting your efforts. On social media, attention is currency. If no one sees you, your voice doesn't carry. That's where Law 6, court attention at all costs, comes in. You don't need to be outrageous, but you do need to be consistent and bold. Stand for something. Use your words, visuals, and timing to stand out. Blend in and you're forgotten. Be distinct, and you stay in the conversation. Even in personal relationships, these laws apply, but they should be handled with care. Let's take Law 12, use selective honesty and generosity. You don't need to lie or play games, but giving too much too soon can backfire. Instead, let trust build slowly. One thoughtful gesture or honest moment at the right time means more than constant overgiving. People value what they have to earn. Law 33, discover each person's weakness, isn't about exploitation. It's about awareness. When you understand what matters to someone, their fears, their hopes, you communicate better. You avoid stepping on emotional landmines. You connect on a deeper level. That's not manipulation. That's maturity. Now here's the thing. You don't have to use every law, but ignoring them won't protect you. Other people are using them, consciously or not. And if you're unaware, you're playing blind. You'll keep asking, why did that go wrong, without ever seeing the power move behind it. This isn't about becoming someone fake. It's about thinking clearly, seeing patterns, and knowing when to speak up, when to hold back, and how to move with intention. Power doesn't have to be toxic. When used with self-awareness, it becomes a form of leadership, of self-protection, of clarity. Because at the end of the day, whether you're in a boardroom, a group chat, or your own home, someone is always steering the moment. Learn the laws, and let that someone be you. Let's be honest, the 48 laws of power isn't loved by everyone. In fact, a lot of people hate it. Some say it's cold, manipulative, even dangerous. And on the surface, yeah, it can sound like a manual for villains. But that's not the full story. Robert Greene doesn't tell you to become a puppet master. He doesn't say, go out and lie to everyone. What he says is, this is how the game works. Whether you like it or not, power dynamics are part of life. He's not encouraging harm. He's giving you tools to recognize it and protect yourself from it. Think about it. Most people don't go around twisting mustaches, plotting betrayals. But subtle power plays happen all the time. A coworker takes credit for your idea. A friend guilt trips you into doing something. A boss talks over you just to show who's in charge. That's power at work. You can't fight what you can't see. And that's what Greene helps you do. He helps you see. Now, that doesn't mean every law in the book fits your life. Some of them feel too much. Others just don't sit right. And that's fine. You don't have to follow every single one. These aren't commandments, they're observations. They show patterns, not prescriptions. For example, Law 15 says crush your enemy totally. Sounds brutal. And sure, in some situations, maybe in business or politics, it's about cutting off future threats. But in everyday life, most people don't need to crush anyone. The point is, don't leave unfinished problems that come back to bite you. That's a different way of seeing it. Same with Law 33, find each person's weakness. You're not using that to break people. You're using it to understand people. Big difference. What Greene really pushes is awareness, not paranoia. You're not meant to walk through life second-guessing everyone, thinking everyone's out to get you. That's exhausting. But you should notice patterns. You should understand how influence works. That way, you're not always surprised when things don't go your way. Here's the real truth. Power itself isn't good or bad. It just is. How you use it, that's what matters. You can use it to protect your peace, to speak up, to lead without fear. Or you can ignore it and let others shape your life without even knowing how it happened. This book doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a sharper one. Someone who sees more clearly and moves with intention. So take what works, leave what doesn't. And most importantly, remember, just because you're aware of power doesn't mean you have to play dirty. It just means you're no longer playing blind. Alright, let's bring this all together. The 48 Laws of Power isn't just a list of tricks or mind games. It's a mirror. It shows how people move, how power flows, and what happens when you ignore that reality. Whether you agree with every law or not, the lessons in this book force you to look at life a little differently. So here are 3 golden rules that tie it all together. 1. Think long-term. Short-term wins can feel good, but real power comes from planning ahead. Greene's biggest message. Don't act out of impulse. See the full picture, the possible outcomes, and play the long game. 2. Stay emotionally detached. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't let emotions control your moves. Anger, jealousy, or even too much trust can cloud your judgment. When you step back and observe, you make better choices. 3. Know human nature. Most people react the same way over and over. They crave attention. They fear embarrassment. They want to feel important. When you understand that, you see patterns, and you stop taking things so personally. You learn to respond instead of react. So now what? This isn't just a book you read and forget. Take a minute to think about your own life. At work, are you giving too much away too soon? In relationships, are you ignoring signs that someone's using power against you? Or maybe you've been holding back, not stepping into your own influence because you thought doing so made you a bad person. Look around. Power is always in motion. And if you're not claiming your place in it, someone else will. That doesn't mean you need to dominate people. It means you need to know the game. That knowledge alone puts you ahead of most. So if any of this hit home, backhand index pointing right, smash that like button if you've ever felt underestimated. Backhand index pointing right, drop a comment and tell me which law made you stop and think. Backhand index pointing right, and if you want more book breakdowns like this, raw, real, and no fluff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. Keep growing. And remember, power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just watches and waits.